The peaceful era is over. For over 3,000 years, Earth had known nothing but peace. There were no wars, no conflicts, and no invasions. Humanity had grown into a thriving civilization, united and prosperous. No one alive remembered a time when the world was torn apart by strife. The United Earth Federation had led the planet to an era of unbroken harmony. Technology advanced rapidly, cities flourished, and the human race was free to explore the stars without fear. The people of Earth lived in comfort, their lives filled with progress and hope for the future. Space exploration had opened new frontiers, but it was always peaceful. Earth had established contact with several alien species over the centuries, but all of them had been friendly and peaceful, just like humanity. For years, Earth's leaders believed that peace in the galaxy was inevitable. There was no need for an army, no need to fear the unknown. The galaxy, it seemed, was a place of peace and understanding. But everything changed on an ordinary day without warning. It began with a mysterious signal. At first, no one thought much of it. It was just another encrypted transmission from deep space, nothing more than background noise in the vast silence of the universe. However, as the signal continued, Earth's top scientists and experts began to decode it. The message was clear. The 3,000-year peace is over. Prepare for war. The tone of the message was cold, authoritative, and left no room for negotiation. The message came from a fleet of alien ships, far larger than any Earth had ever seen. They were heading toward Earth at an alarming speed. At first, the news was met with disbelief. Humanity had never faced such a threat. No one had ever thought that an alien species would declare war on Earth, especially after so many years of peaceful contact. The leaders of Earth held an emergency meeting to discuss the implications. What could they do? How could they prepare for something they had never even imagined? It was impossible to prepare for a war they had never expected. Within hours, the news spread around the world. Governments scrambled to react. Military leaders, once retired in a time of peace, were called back into action. Defense systems were activated, and a sense of unease began to settle over the planet. For the first time in thousands of years, fear began to take root in the hearts of Earth's people. The alien ships were massive, gigantic structures that blotted out the stars as they advanced. The world watched, helpless, as the ships moved closer and closer. It felt as though the entire galaxy was holding its breath. Despite the growing panic, one thing was clear. Earth was unprepared. It didn't have the advanced military power that the alien fleet possessed. The aliens' technology was years ahead of anything humans had ever seen. They had weapons capable of wiping out entire cities with a single strike. They could easily obliterate Earth's defenses with ease. The United Earth Federation declared martial law, and soldiers began to mobilize. But it was clear that Earth had no chance against an enemy this powerful. The streets were filled with people who were afraid for their families, afraid for their lives. Fear spread like wildfire, and the atmosphere was tense. But then, something strange happened. As the alien fleet drew closer, something unexpected occurred. Earth's leaders, military officials, and scientists gathered for an emergency broadcast to address the world. The eyes of the entire planet were on them. The Federation president, standing before a sea of cameras, addressed the world, his voice steady, but laced with an unshakable calm. "We are facing a grave threat," he began, his words echoing across every screen. "But we must not give in to fear. We have a plan." The world waited in silence, hoping for any sign of hope. The president's next words shocked everyone. "We will not fight with weapons. We will not surrender. Instead, we will do what humans do best. We will laugh." There was a stunned silence. No one knew how to react. The president continued, "For 3,000 years, we have lived in peace because we have chosen to live in peace. The aliens believe we are weak because we have not fought back. They believe that our strength lies in war, but they are wrong. Our strength is in our resilience, our creativity, And yes, our laughter. The broadcast ended abruptly, leaving the world in a state of stunned disbelief. How could humanity respond to a declared war with laughter? Was it a tactic, a joke, or was there something more behind the president's words? The next day, Earth's social media exploded. Videos, memes, and messages flooded the internet as humanity united in a single, unexpected response. People everywhere, from the streets of New York to the bustling cities of Tokyo, laughed. They laughed in the face of the alien threat. They laughed at the absurdity of it all. They laughed because, for the first time in centuries, humanity had a chance to take control of its fate. The aliens who had expected fear were faced with something completely different. Earth's response was not what they had anticipated. In the face of an existential threat, humans had chosen not to cower, but to laugh. And that laugh echoed across the galaxy. The aliens, who had been prepared to invade a planet trembling in fear, now found themselves facing a species that seemed almost uncaring. But what did this reaction mean? Was it an act of defiance, a strategic move, or was humanity truly unafraid? As the alien fleet hovered just outside Earth's atmosphere, one thing was clear. The peace humanity had enjoyed for 3,000 years had shattered. But in its place, something new was emerging, something unexpected. The aliens had declared war, but humanity had chosen a different path. And the universe would soon learn what that path meant. The alien fleet loomed above Earth, their massive ships casting long shadows over the planet. The silence that had followed the president's unexpected broadcast was deafening. Humanity had laughed in the face of an enemy they could not possibly defeat, and now the world waited. Would the aliens retaliate, or would they be baffled by Earth's strange reaction and rethink their approach? Across the globe, the laughter continued. In every city, from the gleaming towers of New York to the quiet villages in Africa, humans laughed, not out of mockery, but as a defiant, united response. It was as if the entire planet had synchronized in one giant, collective moment of disbelief. People laughed because they refused to be afraid. People laughed because they knew something the aliens did not. And the aliens? They watched in confusion. No one in the fleet had ever seen anything like this. Their vast military intelligence network had predicted that humans would panic, that they would beg for mercy. But what they saw instead was laughter. A universal, unrelenting wave of sound that echoed through the stars, shaking their belief that humanity was weak. Commander Xathar, the leader of the alien fleet, was furious. He had spent years preparing for this moment, meticulously planning the invasion of Earth. His species had conquered dozens of planets, wiping out any civilizations that stood in their way. And now, Earth, a primitive species, laughed at them, laughed in the face of total annihilation. "What is this?" Xathar growled, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. "Why do they laugh? Why don't they fear us?" His second-in-command, a tactical officer named Zerak, shifted uneasily in his seat. "Commander, perhaps, they have something we don't understand. Their laughter, it's not like anything we've encountered before." Xathar slammed his fist down on the armrest, his eyes narrowing. "Fool, are they mocking us? Are they truly this confident? We have weapons that can turn their cities to dust with a single blast, and they laugh. I will not be mocked by inferior beings. We will destroy them." Now, Zerak hesitated, unsure of the commander's confidence. "Commander, we have calculated their military capabilities. They are not a threat to us, not with our weapons. But their response, it is unlike anything we've faced. Perhaps we should reconsider. We may underestimate them at our peril." Xathar sneered. "Weakling, prepare the fleet. We attack at dawn." Meanwhile, on Earth, the laughter continued. The president's speech had ignited something within the people of Earth. It was as though a switch had been flipped, and the collective will of humanity had shifted from fear to defiance. The alien threat, once a source of anxiety, was now something that everyone seemed to face together with confidence. The streets were filled with crowds chanting, laughing, and even singing. Humanity had never been so united. It wasn't just the civilians. Even the military, which had scrambled to prepare for an invasion, had shifted in its approach. The generals who had once been on edge were now standing tall, determined to protect their planet. The Federation's officers had reviewed all available data on the alien fleet and found that the aliens' military superiority was unquestionable. But the humans had something the aliens didn't expect: resilience and a deep belief that Earth was worth protecting. They might not have the most advanced technology, but their spirit was something the aliens could not measure. As the alien fleet drew closer to Earth, one of Earth's top scientists, Dr. Alina Brooks, was called to a high-level meeting. She had spent years studying alien technology and had secretly worked on a project to understand how to counter the alien forces. What she revealed to the council was something that would forever change the course of this conflict. Humanity's greatest strength is its ability to adapt. Dr. Brooks began, her voice steady. We may not have the advanced weapons the aliens do, but we've developed something far more powerful. It's not just technology. It's our ingenuity, our creativity, and most importantly, our unity. The council listened closely as Dr. Brooks outlined her plan. It was daring and unconventional, but it was the only chance Earth had. She proposed a multi-layered defense strategy, one that involved using Earth's most advanced technologies and incorporating the human spirit into their tactics. This is more than a battle of technology, Dr. Brooks said. It's a battle of will. The aliens underestimated us. They believed we would bow down, that we would cower in fear, but they're wrong. We will fight, not with weapons alone, but with everything we are. At that moment, a young officer stood up. But what about the fleet? How can we stand against them? Dr. Brooks smiled. We won't stand against them. We'll do something they never expected. We will make them doubt their own superiority. We will make them question whether they're fighting against a civilization or a force of nature. The council members were skeptical, but Dr. Brooks' confidence was undeniable. They had no choice but to trust her. As the alien fleet closed in on Earth's atmosphere, they readied their weapons, poised to strike. But Earth had prepared something far more powerful than any weapon. They had prepared their resolve. The world held its breath as the final moments before the invasion approached. Commander Xathar watched as his fleet positioned itself for the attack. Prepare to fire, he ordered, his voice cold with certainty. The time has come. But just as the alien fleet aimed their weapons at Earth, something unexpected happened. A loud, powerful sound filled the galaxy. The humans were laughing once again. This time, it was not just a simple act of defiance. It was a declaration of war in its own right. The laughter spread like wildfire, louder and louder, reaching the very core of the alien fleet. Xathar's expression shifted to one of confusion and rage. Why do they laugh? What is this? Earth was not just refusing to bow down. It was showing the aliens that they were not afraid, that they were prepared to fight in ways the aliens could never understand. And the first true shot in this war was not fired by a weapon. It was fired by humanity's spirit. The sound of laughter echoed across the cosmos, louder than ever, as humanity prepared to face the alien onslaught. Commander Xathar, who had been so sure of his fleet's invincibility, stood in stunned silence. He had expected fear, panic, maybe even surrender. But this was not fear. It was something far more unsettling. The humans were not afraid. They were mocking him. As the laughter reverberated throughout the vast expanse of space, a strange tension gripped the alien fleet. Commander Xathar's crew, many of whom had fought in countless conquests, were suddenly unsure. They had never encountered anything like this before. Never had a species laughed in the face of their destruction. The humans were not just surviving. They were rejecting the very notion of defeat. Xathar's hand trembled as he gave the order to fire. His voice was strained, as if the act of declaring war had taken a physical toll on him. Open fire. Show them the power of the Empire. The massive weapons of the alien fleet charged up, each ship preparing to unleash a devastating barrage on Earth. But just as the first blast was about to be fired, something incredible happened. Earth's defenders, those who had laughed in the face of the alien threat, had one final weapon that even the aliens could not predict. It started with a ripple, barely noticeable at first. A flash of light, a disturbance in space, rippling outward from Earth like a shockwave. The alien fleet had no time to react. In the blink of an eye, their weapon systems were disabled. The colossal energy blasts they had aimed at Earth fizzled out, their power dissipating into nothing. What just happened? Zathar gasped. His voice was shaky now, filled with disbelief. The aliens scrambled to understand what had just transpired. Their weapons, supposedly the most advanced in the galaxy, had failed. The truth was, they had underestimated one thing about humanity: their ability to think the impossible and make it a reality. Back on Earth, Dr. Alina Brooks and her team of scientists had prepared for this moment. Their research into alien technology had led to one key discovery: the aliens relied on specific frequencies to power their weapons. Using this knowledge, Earth's brightest minds had developed a device capable of interfering with these frequencies, rendering the alien fleet's weapon systems completely useless. But the device was not just a simple countermeasure. It was a signal of defiance. Humanity was telling the aliens, loud and clear, "We will not be subjugated." At that moment, Earth's military forces, fully prepared for the unexpected, began their own counterattack. It wasn't a traditional offensive. No, Earth had something far more strategic in mind. The military deployed advanced drones, powered by human ingenuity and relentless determination, to target weak points in the alien fleet. These drones were not just machines. They were symbols of human creativity, driven by a desire to protect their home. The drones zipped through space with incredible precision, maneuvering between the hulking alien ships. They dodged laser beams and retaliated with unexpected ferocity. One by one, the alien ships began to fall. Their vast, seemingly invincible structures were damaged by the precise and unexpected strikes of Earth's defense systems. In the midst of all this chaos, the alien fleet's leaders could do nothing but watch in horror. Zathar, once so confident, was now filled with doubt. He couldn't understand how the humans had managed to do this. Their technology was inferior, their resources limited, yet they were fighting back in a way no one had predicted. The aliens were the ones on the defensive now. Why are they so resourceful? Zarak, Zathar's second-in-command, muttered in disbelief. How are they able to fight us like this? Zathar clenched his fists. Their resilience is unmatched. But it doesn't matter. We have more ships, more firepower. We will destroy them. We must destroy them. But as the battle raged on, something began to shift within the alien ranks. Despite their technological superiority, the aliens were struggling to keep up with the unpredictable tactics of humanity. Earth was fighting with something the aliens hadn't anticipated: spirit, creativity, and a will to survive. As Earth's forces continued to strike, the aliens began to retreat. Slowly, reluctantly, they pulled back. It wasn't a complete surrender, but it was a retreat, a sign that the invasion was not going as planned. Back on Earth, the world held its breath. The impossible had become reality. The planet had fought back, and while it was far from over, humanity had sent a clear message to the aliens: we are not afraid. In every corner of the Earth, people watched as the aliens withdrew. Their laughter, once a symbol of defiance, now echoed with the sound of victory. Earth had shown its strength, its ingenuity, and its unity. But the battle was far from won. The alien fleet had retreated, but they were not giving up. They would return, stronger and more determined than ever. The real test had only just begun. And humanity, now united in a way they had never been before, was ready. The aliens would learn that there was one thing they could never take from Earth: its spirit. As the alien fleet began to retreat into the void of space, Earth's leaders gathered for a brief moment of reflection. They had won a battle, but the war was still on the horizon. And no matter what came next, humanity would stand together, ready to fight for their planet, their future, and their place in the stars. But as the leaders of Earth discussed their next moves, one thing was clear: the aliens were not ready for what was coming. The humans had already shown them that no matter how powerful the enemy, no matter how overwhelming the odds, Earth would never back down. And this was just the beginning. The universe was in chaos. The galaxy's most powerful fleet had been pushed back by a species that was supposed to be nothing more than a blip in the cosmic order. The aliens had underestimated humanity's ability to resist, to fight back against the odds. Commander Xathar knew it was time for a change in strategy, but the question was, what would it be? Back aboard the flagship of the alien fleet, Xathar sat at the War Council table, his once proud face now grim and marked by deep lines of frustration. His advisors stood around him, each one struggling to come to terms with the unexpected failure they had just endured. The humans had surprised them at every turn, and that made them dangerous. "Commander, we cannot allow this insult to stand," Zarak, his second-in-command, growled, slamming his fist onto the table. "We have fleets that dwarf theirs. The humans are using tactics we never expected, but that's all they have. We will crush them with sheer force." Xathar remained silent for a moment, his eyes reflecting the depths of a mind working furiously. He had seen the power of Earth's unexpected strategy, how their devices disrupted the alien fleet's technology, how their drones struck with uncanny precision. The humans had somehow turned the tide, but Xathar was no fool. He knew that this battle was not over. "Zarak," Xathar finally spoke, his voice cold and calculated. "We have the strength to crush them, yes, but we must adapt. The humans have shown us that they can think in ways we cannot predict. We need to counter that with something they cannot possibly understand." "What do you propose?" Zarak asked, his curiosity piqued. Xathar stood, walking slowly to the viewport, his gaze fixed on the dark expanse of space. "We have underestimated them for far too long. We will not make that mistake again. It's time we bring in something they cannot foresee. We will take the fight to their minds." The alien commander turned back to face his subordinates. "We will send in the psionics unit. Let's see how the humans react to our powers of the mind." The psionics unit was a select group of aliens with the ability to manipulate energy, thoughts, and even reality itself. Their abilities were unlike anything the humans had ever encountered. While Earth's technology had disrupted the alien fleet's weapons, the psionics could disrupt their very perception of reality. The humans, so confident in their newfound strength, would soon realize that they were not in control of the fight anymore. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Alina Brooks and her team of engineers were preparing for what they knew would come next. After the initial victory, humanity had begun to rebuild, eager to fortify their defenses. But they were aware that the aliens wouldn't just walk away after being humiliated. Earth's military leaders gathered, discussing their next move. "This is just the beginning," General Marcus Hayes said, his voice filled with both determination and concern. "We've fought them off once, but they'll come back. They're not the type to retreat for long." Dr. Brooks nodded, tapping a few keys on the console in front of her. "We've analyzed their retreat patterns, and we know they won't stay away for long. The next attack will be different, though. They'll adapt. We need to be ready for whatever they throw at us." Her mind raced. The psionics unit. She had read about the alien race's ability to manipulate mental energy. It was a power unlike anything humanity had dealt with before. Their technology was advanced. Their weapons were destructive. But the psionics had the potential to invade the very minds of Earth's defenders. That was a level of warfare no one on Earth could have prepared for. "Can we develop a countermeasure for that?" General Hayes asked, concern creeping into his voice. Dr. Brooks didn't answer immediately. The psionics had been a well-guarded secret, their abilities classified and unknown to the general public. But now, faced with the reality of alien forces who could influence minds, humanity had no choice but to fight back. They would need to develop something equally as dangerous, something that could counter the psionics. "We'll need to act fast," Dr. Brooks said, her voice steady despite the fear building in her chest. "I'll assemble a team of neuroscientists and develop a psychological defense system. We have the knowledge to protect ourselves, but we'll need time." "We don't have much time," General Hayes responded. "We need something now." And so, as Earth's defenders scrambled to develop a psychological shield, the alien fleet regrouped, preparing their ultimate weapon. Stather's fleet was about to strike again, this time with a power that would force humanity to face the battle in a way they had never imagined, on a psychological battlefield, where the mind itself would become the weapon. The countdown had begun. Humanity would have to adapt, to evolve, and to face an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered before. The stakes were higher than ever, and the outcome was uncertain. One thing was clear: Earth had won the first round, but the war was far from over. The aliens were preparing to take the fight to the minds of humans, and humanity had no choice but to fight back with everything they had. The battle for the soul of Earth had just begun, and in the depths of space, the alien fleet waited, ready to strike again. The tension in the air was palpable as the alien fleet prepared to make their next move. It had been days since the humans had thrown them off Earth's orbit, and Commander Sather's mind was consumed with only one thing: how to break humanity's spirit. If brute force hadn't worked, perhaps mental manipulation would. Sather knew that their psionics unit would be their greatest weapon. These beings could enter minds, manipulate thoughts, and even control memories. It was something that humanity could never prepare for. They had seen the power of Earth's technology, but the psionics had something far more dangerous: control over the very thoughts and emotions that drove humans. Sather activated his communicator and spoke to his psionics general, Othra, who was coordinating the assault. "Prepare the unit. We'll strike Earth's defenses where it hurts the most, their minds. The humans are strong physically, but their minds. We will show them how weak they truly are." Othra responded with a quiet, menacing tone. "We'll make them doubt themselves. Their confidence will be their downfall." On Earth, Dr. Alina Brooks was already deep in her research, working tirelessly to develop a mental defense system. She had gathered a team of top neuroscientists, psychologists, and engineers to work on a countermeasure to the psionics. They knew that time was running out. The aliens wouldn't give humanity a second chance to prepare. "We need to make this work," Dr. Brooks said, her voice filled with urgency. "If we fail, it won't be their fleets that destroy us. It will be their minds." General Marcus Hayes stood by her side, staring out the window of the lab. "Do you think we can really fight back against something like that? We've never faced an enemy like this." Dr. Brooks took a deep breath, her eyes focused on the team working around her. "We don't have a choice. If the psionics invade our minds, if they break our will, then we lose everything. We have to fight back. We have to find a way to shield ourselves from their influence." The team had been working around the clock to develop a device they called the neuroblocker. It was a neurosignal disruptor designed to block the psionics from entering the human brain. But there were risks. No one knew exactly how powerful the psionics were, and whether the neuroblocker would even be enough to withstand their assault. "Alina, we need to test it now," General Hayes urged, his tone serious. Dr. Brooks nodded and gave a signal. A volunteer stepped forward. A young soldier named Captain Eli Foster. Eli had volunteered to be the first to test the device, fully aware of the danger it posed. The soldier had a deep understanding of what was at stake. If they failed here, Earth would be vulnerable. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. Brooks asked, her voice soft but filled with concern. Eli gave a determined nod. "I'm ready. Let's do this." The team quickly strapped the neuroblocker to Eli's head. The device was small, a series of intricate electrodes and wires designed to generate a shield of electromagnetic pulses that would scramble any external influence. It wasn't perfect, but it was their best shot. With the device in place, Dr. Brooks activated the simulation. A low hum filled the room as the neuroblocker powered up. On the screen, an artificial alien psionic presence began to appear, mimicking the effects of a psionic invasion. The room went silent as the team observed Eli's reactions. At first, everything seemed normal. But then, Eli's eyes flickered, his muscles twitched, and for a moment, it seemed as though he was fighting something invisible. A few seconds passed, and then, with a sharp breath, Eli's body relaxed. "It worked," Eli said, his voice still steady. "I felt it trying to get in. Something was pushing at my mind, but I couldn't let it in." Dr. Brooks exhaled in relief. "It's working. The neuroblocker is blocking the psionic influence." But even as they celebrated this small victory, a new sense of urgency spread through the lab. The alien fleet was coming. They could already see the first signs of it. A massive pulse emanating from deep space, a sign that the psionics were preparing for their assault. The war for Earth's mind had begun. Back in space, Commander Xathar was growing impatient. His psionics had already begun testing their power on the humans, but the results had been less than impressive. Earth's technology, though primitive compared to the alien fleets, had proven resilient. The humans had fought back, and the psionics were having difficulty penetrating their mental defenses. "We cannot allow this to continue," Xathar muttered under his breath. "Prepare the full assault. We need to break them. Send in the elite psionic warriors." The fleet's psionics were already preparing their assault, focusing on the soldiers and leaders who were most vulnerable. These warriors could breach the mind even if their defenses were high. They would attack with intensity, forcing humans into submission by exploiting their deepest fears, doubts, and regrets. The humans, however, had something the aliens did not expect: unity. It wasn't just technology or strength that held humanity together. It was their spirit, their unshakable belief in their survival, and their unwavering determination to protect their home. As the psionics closed in, the soldiers on Earth knew they would face the battle of their lives, a battle not of physical might, but of willpower. "Prepare yourselves," General Hayes said, looking each soldier in the eye. "This is where we show the aliens what humanity is truly made of. We'll fight with everything we have: mind, body, and soul." With the alien psionics closing in on Earth's defenses, the stage was set for the greatest battle humanity had ever faced. And for the first time, it wasn't just about who had the better weapons. It was about who had the stronger will to fight. The tension on Earth was unlike anything humanity had ever known. The alien psionics were not just an army. They were a wave of consciousness, an invisible force that threatened to invade the very fabric of human thought. With every passing moment, the pressure grew. The fate of Earth wasn't just in the hands of their military or technology. It was now a battle for control of the human mind. As the alien psionic warriors prepared their final assault, Earth's best minds rallied together. The neuroblockers were ready, but they had to be deployed across the world. Every government, every military force, every civilian had to be prepared to defend themselves. The aliens had underestimated one thing: humanity's unity in the face of destruction. They might have superior technology and advanced mental powers, but humanity had something far more powerful: resilience. Dr. Alina Brooks stood in a war room surrounded by screens, her face tight with concentration. Every part of her being was focused on the task at hand: protecting humanity's mind. The soldiers and scientists who were working on the neuroblockers had managed to improve the design. Now, they were not just shielding individual minds, but creating a global network to defend humanity from the alien invasion. "We're ready," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "We've set up a network that links every neuroblocker on Earth. The more we activate, the stronger the defense will become." General Marcus Hayes paced in front of her, looking out over the digital map that tracked the movements of the alien fleet. "We don't have much time. The psionics will launch their attack any moment now. The enemy will try to break through our minds first. We have to hold on." The neuroblockers were linked together in a massive defense system that stretched across the planet. They were designed to counteract the psionics' intrusion and block any attempts to control human thoughts. The moment the alien attack began, humanity's mental defenses would be activated in unison. Back in space, Commander Xathar was ready. His fleet loomed on the edge of Earth's atmosphere, poised to strike. He knew this battle wouldn't be won with conventional weapons. It would be won in the minds of humanity. He sent a signal to his psionic warriors to prepare for their final move. "Activate the full assault," Xathar commanded. "We will break their minds. The victory will be ours." The alien psionics began to focus their power, reaching out across the void to Earth. Their mental presence swept over the planet like a dark cloud, searching for the weak, the vulnerable, the confused. They would strike at the hearts of humanity's leaders, sowing doubt, fear, and despair. It was the perfect strategy. Until it wasn't. As the psionic force began to push against Earth's defenses, the neuroblockers flared to life. The electromagnetic pulses coursed through the planet, creating a barrier that scattered the alien attack like ripples on water. The psionics encountered resistance where they least expected it. For the first time, they felt the power of humanity's mind. Xathar was caught off guard by the sudden strength of Earth's defense. His psionics had encountered resistance before, but not like this. He watched as the mental forces of his warriors were deflected, blocked, and repelled by the human defense network. A wave of frustration washed over him. "Increase the power," he ordered. "Push harder. We cannot let them stand against us." But even as the psionics intensified their assault, something strange began to happen. Humanity's will, their shared determination to survive, grew stronger. The more they fought back, the more resilient they became. Soldiers, civilians, and leaders alike stood firm. The connection between them all, humanity's collective strength, formed an unbreakable bond that the psionics could not penetrate. General Hayes stood in front of the screen showing the battle between the psionics and the neuroblocker network. "They can't break us," he said, a confident smile forming on his face. "They underestimated us. We're not just fighting with our bodies. We're fighting with our minds." Dr. Brooks nodded, her eyes gleaming with pride. "The human mind is stronger than they thought. And together, we're stronger than any alien force." But the psionics didn't give up easily. Xathar's face twisted with anger. He ordered his warriors to increase the intensity of their attacks, and for a brief moment, it seemed like Earth's defenses would crumble. The minds of humans began to flicker with doubt, the pressure mounting as the alien force pushed deeper. It was then that a small but significant shift occurred. Something deep within the collective human mind awakened. On Earth, in a crowded control room, Eli Foster, the soldier who had been the first to test the neuroblocker, stood with his hands pressed against the terminal. He had experienced the psionic attack firsthand. But now, something was different. His mind felt stronger, sharper, more focused than ever. He looked up at the team surrounding him. "It's happening," Eli said quietly. "The more we resist, the more connected we become. We're starting to think as one, together." His words were a revelation. Humanity had always been divided by differences, by culture, politics, and ideology. But now, as they stood against the psionics, they were united as one. Their shared will to survive, their belief in each other, was forming a collective consciousness that no psionic could breach. "We are humanity," Eli said, his voice steady but filled with newfound conviction. "And we will not fall." Dr. Brooks watched the screens, seeing the ripple effect of Eli's words spread across the world. The humans were no longer just defending themselves. They were fighting as one, creating a mental barrier that no alien could crack. Xathar could feel it too. The tide was turning. His psionics were being overwhelmed. their attempts to control humanity slipping through their fingers like sand. For the first time, the psionics knew fear. This cannot be, Sather hissed. We must break them. But Earth had already won. The collective power of humanity's mind was too strong. The psionics had failed. As Sather watched his warriors falter, he realized the truth. In this war, humanity had already claimed victory, not through weapons or technology, but through the power of their minds. The tension was palpable in the air. The battle for Earth had not just been a fight of technology, weapons, or even alien superiority. It had been a fight for humanity's very soul. For centuries, the world had been divided, but when faced with the most unimaginable threat, humanity's strength came from an unexpected source: their unity. The alien psionics had given it their all, their minds probing, pushing, trying to control every vulnerable human thought. They had used fear, doubt, and chaos, seeking to unravel the very foundation of human willpower. But what they had failed to understand was something simple, yet profound. Human beings, despite their flaws, were resilient beyond measure. Their true strength was in their ability to come together in the face of adversity. Now, the battlefield was not in space or in the sky. It was within the minds of every person on Earth. The alien forces that had once seemed unbeatable were now retreating, unable to break through the collective defense humanity had created. For the first time, the psionics, with their advanced mental powers, were beginning to falter. Their grip on humanity's minds was slipping, and they could feel the alien waves of their consciousness slowly dissipating. General Marcus Hayes stood before the control room's massive digital map. The situation had turned around completely. The psionics were in disarray, and their once dominant presence was starting to fade. There was no question about it now. Humanity had won. It wasn't the military strategy that had saved them. It was the unyielding spirit of every human on Earth, from the scientists to the soldiers, to the mothers and children who stood together. "We did it," General Hayes murmured, as the screen showed the alien fleet retreating, one by one. Dr. Alina Brooks, standing beside him, couldn't hide her smile. She had always believed in the power of the human mind, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. As the leader of the Neuroblocker Project, she had helped bring about the Global Defense Network, but even she had not expected the results to be so profound. Humanity had done something no one, least of all the psionics, had thought possible. They had not only defended themselves, they had overcome an enemy that sought to control their very thoughts. "I'm proud of them," Dr. Brooks said softly, her eyes fixed on the now dissolving alien forces. Every single person on this planet was part of this. It wasn't just the technology, it was their will to fight back. Meanwhile, in space, Commander Xathar, leader of the psionic invasion, was watching as the remaining psionic warriors withdrew. His hands trembled as he realized the full extent of the disaster that had befallen them. The psionics had always believed that their mental prowess made them invincible, but they had never accounted for humanity's heart. Sathar's voice cracked as he issued the retreat order. "Fall back. We are retreating from this planet. It is lost to us. The humans are stronger than we ever could have imagined." The remaining psionics, with their minds shattered by the sheer willpower of Earth's defense, began to retreat into the vastness of space, their fleets scattering into the dark void. The once proud alien force, which had come to conquer and enslave, was now broken, retreating to lick its wounds and reassess its place in the universe. On Earth, the world slowly returned to normal, but it was a new kind of normal. The threat had been defeated, but the lesson learned would never be forgotten. The unity of humanity, their collective will, had been forged in the fires of battle. They now knew that no matter the odds, no matter the enemy, their greatest strength lay not in their technology or weapons, but in their shared resolve. As the world celebrated, humanity's leaders spoke of a new era, a world where nations put aside their differences and worked together, not out of fear, but out of understanding and respect. There were no more divisions between countries, no more bickering between governments. For the first time in history, Earth was united as one. Commander Xathar's last words echoed across space as he watched Earth disappear into the distance. We have underestimated them. We were wrong. The humans are more than we ever expected. Dr. Brooks and General Hayes stood together, watching the world they had fought for. They knew that humanity's victory over the psionics was just the beginning. A new chapter in Earth's history had begun, one where the future was not defined by fear, but by the boundless potential of a united world. As the last of the alien fleet disappeared into the stars, the Earth stood resilient and proud, a symbol of humanity's strength, unity, and the undying power of the human spirit. It was not just a victory over an alien force. It was the victory of humanity itself.